Welcome to part 2 of the Peak Performer podcast interview with Mockaitis. Today we discuss following your dreams. It sounds like a great idea in your head, but what steps can you take to actually increase your chances for success and minimize the chances that you'll have to go crawling back to your old job? Stay tuned to the Peak Performers podcast.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Tell me some of the key strategies that you have for marketing. You have a list of clients that reads, the who's who. What are your marketing strategies?
Well, I'd say, Thor, to be honest, in many ways, I just sort of plugged myself in with the right people and partnerships, right then and there. And so I'd say, so many of those big names you're seeing, I'm working with sort of individuals at those companies or organizations as opposed to on a corporate level. And I've done some of the overall corporate level pieces too, independently and as part of a larger team. But so I think really it just boils down to making some great partnerships. And so I remember there were times when I saw someone who had a pretty robust web property, and I thought, wow, this has got a lot of great stuff going on it. And I thought, I wonder if this guy offers coaching. It was like, he doesn't. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I should do the coaching. So I just emailed the guy and said, hey, you got a lot of great things going here. I do coaching. It seems like your people probably want coaching. He's like, they do. And so, partnership formed. So in a way, it's been a limited number of strategic partnerships that have really just led to many individual pieces of business coming again and again.
That's a great strategy. Find people that have your clients and partner with them.
Certainly, yeah. So, they offered one piece and I offered another. And so he said, I frankly have a whole lot of other things that are consuming my time, and I don't care to engage in one-on-one coaching. But I said, I love the one-on-one coaching. That sounds like a treat. So it was kind of really a win-win there in terms of forming that partnership. And so that's probably what I'd say the same thing with the speaking on the college campuses. So Jess Ekstrom, you had here. We're with the same agency, and so you form that partnership, and it took some work to jump through the hoops and show them your videos and your testimonials and your results and your headshots and all of the stuff. But once that partnership is formed, then I'll just get an email. It's like, hey, Pete, this gig, this date, these dollars, what do you say? And I said, well, yes, please, thank you. And so it's worked out very well for me, and it's in many ways, it's kind of hard, I think, for me to really find the time to do sort of the pounding the pavement type activities, just sort of building out a prospect list and contacting them and then watching what unfolds. I mean, I'd say that I have not found time to do so reliably, and then to be able to answer your phone when they call back. So I like to have partners do a bit of that heavy lifting, and that might change someday if my programs are ever more expensive, such that I can justify the time I spend chasing business. But for now, I enjoy having other people make it come to me.
Now, with all the work that you do with the students, what do you see that employers are going to be facing with the new college grads coming out of college nowadays? What are the challenges that are facing them?
Well, I don't know if I have anything really new or novel to say here associated with that. I mean, you may well have heard that, millennials, fun fact, 72% of millennials reject the term millennial because there are all these pejorative connotations associated with it. And I guess technically I am one. I'm 33 years old. And so I had a great chat with a guest, Lee Caraher, on episode 35, who laid out some of this. And she said, really, us millennials have been sort of trained, conditioned, told repeatedly, you're special, you're special, you're special. And it's not so much that they're just jerks and they are entitled or whatever, or we are entitled, but there have been some influences that make it seem like we think we deserve certain things or certain pieces of treatment. So I think that is a real phenomenon. Of course, it's not universal. It's a generalization across people, and everyone's unique and different in their own ways. But I think that is a bit of a real influence. And so I think employers do need to note that newly graduating folks are highly likely to crave a degree of coaching, of development and learning and growth at a high level that maybe was not so much requested in previous generations. And I think it's frankly pretty essential as just a retention strategy if sort of employee loyalty is reduced, with fewer years working on average in a given position, and employer loyalty is reduced, layoffs and restructurings and all that can happen. Then I think for an employee to really feel like they are in a safe, a great spot, they got to be learning and growing and developing skills at a pretty good rate so that they feel valued and employable should the winds shift as they do all the faster these days.
Yeah, I mean, my experience has been wonderful. I've found and hired some amazing millennials. And, you always hear about the downside of them, but I'm telling you, I found some really, really great, smart individuals.
Absolutely. And it's really exciting to see how folks get fired up all the more about purpose and what are we really achieving here, and the idea of 9 to 5 clock watching type stuff I think is rarer from the impressions that I'm gathering and observations here. And so if you can really tap into that purpose, then there's some real fireworks that could emerge.
People ask me all the time, what's the difference between responsibility and accountability? Well, a lot, actually. Responsibility is the thing that makes me, as a business owner and an entrepreneur, get out of bed every day, make all the phone calls, do what has to be done for the sake of my business. And the success of my business pretty much lies solely on my shoulders. Enter accountability. If you're an entrepreneur or business owner and you're just not quite seeing the results you want, you might just think for a second how you could benefit from having a partner. And I'm not talking about some Shark Tank scenario where somebody gets a huge percentage of the business you've created. I'm talking about Thor Conklin. He's a profitability consultant and an accountability master. If this sounds like something interesting to you or something that you could benefit from, I challenge you to take responsibility for yourself and for your business and go to thorconklin.com/accountability. That's really all you got to do. Take the first step to the best business decision you'll ever make. thorconklin.com/accountability.
What are some of your biggest strengths?
Oh, sure. Well, now it's funny. Now I'm thinking about the Strengths Finder assessment, which I've taken. And it's so funny about strengths is that frequently the very nature of a strength is it's something you do well and just kind of natural to you. And it seems like it's no big deal. And in fact, you wonder, well, why doesn't everyone else just do this? And so
Right.
I think that's what's so fascinating is that most people's strengths seem to them on the inside looking out kind of unremarkable. But I guess, in fact, they are, which is why they're strengths. So my top Strengths Finder strength is activator, which means that I am all about just making it happen. Let's get started. Let's get going. Let's do it. Okay, let's turn that into action. What is that next action? And who's going to be responsible for that and when? And so how do we get the wheels in motion? And so I don't have a whole lot of tolerance for, just kind of chatting to chat. I want to know what are the real life implications of this thing that we're discussing and get it into gear. Sometimes that makes me impatient and lacking in some, I guess, peace at times, but it does get things in gear, and I'm glad to report that I haven't, yelled at anybody for moving too slowly yet.
Oh, really? Well, give it time.
No, like screaming or disrespect, right? I mean, I'd say there may be a sigh, there may be a facial expression, and I will convey my perspective, but I I'm glad to say I haven't lost it, even though sometimes I really do feel it's like, what the heck is taking so long?
That's right. Well, remember, verbal communication is only, 7%?
I hear you.
So it might be the look that you give them. Come on, let's get this thing moving. You're 32, but what could you have done better 10 years ago?
Oh, boy, so many things.
Yeah, just one.
Oh,
let me ask you this. In business, you are at a particular level now that you weren't, 10 years ago, obviously.
Right.
Is there something that you could have done better or a little differently that may have set you up for even more success today?
Oh, sure thing. Well, but I'm thinking in the world of business, I think that it would have served me well had I kind of gotten a little bit more serious in terms of truly, solving a problem, finding real customers with real needs. I think that when I left Bain, it's so funny with all the spreadsheets. I didn't have a ton of analysis behind it. I just sort of thought, I love speaking. I get really fired up when I do it. And I've seen some other folks speaking who didn't really impress me that much. I thought I could do better. I learned what they were getting paid, and like, oh my goodness, I should I should do that.
I can get paid to speak. I love this.
Right. And so it just seemed to add up. And it's like, well, hey, I've got over a year's worth of savings, so let's take a crack at this thing. And so that was the extent of it. And so I think when I started, I just sort of said, I want to be a speaker, And so I was like, I'll speak about sort of whatever somebody wants something spoken about. And that doesn't really work so well for bookers or for sort of any kind of business at all. It's like the fact that you're passionate about something and you like to do it and you want to do it is good and fun. Will keep you motivated and coming back. But it doesn't make so much of a compelling case for why should I pick you over the other guy? What are you really going to do for me? If I part with these dollars, will I receive some other kind of value or benefit that is greater than these dollars? And so I think I could have done a finer job of zeroing in early on, like, what are some true pain points and what am I really going to bring to the table that will alleviate those pain points, as opposed to simply, I like speaking and someone told me to follow my passion, so I'm going to go do that now.
I want to go down this path a little bit further. So many people come to me and they're working 9 to 5 and they're like, I want to leave my job and I want to follow my passion as a widget maker. I said, okay, do you know if anybody wants the widgets? Let's make sure that we're making an intelligent move here. What additional advice do you have for someone that's leaving a good job, a good career, and wants to follow their passion and create a business?
Yes. Well, boy, there's so much. Well, one is I recommend amassing over a year's worth of savings before you do so. I mean, especially if you're going to just like not have income going your way. 2, I'd recommend starting it on the side first before you abandon your income. 3, I'd recommend doing some quick tests. You got to get a sense for if folks, as you said, want that thing, and it can be real quick and simple. I before launching the podcast, I did SurveyMonkey consumer surveys, which is you could just buy an audience. Google also has consumer surveys. You also have a voice poll, so you can get a sense of that just by throwing it out to the world and based on the demographics that you want, as well as interviewing your potential customers and prospects. And I loved sort of the lean startup, Paul Reese, right? That's his name, I believe. He says that if 10 out of 10 people don't want the thing you're trying to create or sell to them, that's pretty significant. So even if you're not doing a multi-thousand people survey, advanced statistical analysis, it's still a pretty good signal if you can gather from having 10 conversations with prospective customers and seeing what they think about that. So that's the thing is some passions will get you paid and some won't. And it's good to know what you're dealing with. And maybe you're never going to be a world-class cellist who's going to be in sort of fine symphony orchestra performances, but you love playing. Well, that's cool. Keep on playing. Let that be a means of recharging your batteries and adding richness to your life. But it may not be the best move for you financially to go forward and do that. Whereas if your passion is coming up with deal structures for venture capitalists to enter and exit certain investments, and you're really good at it, well, that's probably going to get you paid. So you're more likely to win with that. But again, follow the same rules for testing first.
Yeah, and one of the 10 people cannot be your mom or your uncle.
Oh, certainly, yes.
Yeah, they've got to be independent people. And I believe truly also that not everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur or business owner. There's a certain personality, there's a certain type that you have to be in order to make it successful. Or you've got to hire the right people. Look, whatever you create, there's a lot of artists that love creating things. Somebody has to get this thing sold. So if it's not you, you got to have somebody on the team that can market, advertise, and sell this thing.
Absolutely. And there has to be a market ready to buy it.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter
right.
how talented your salespeople are.
Right.
It just is the fit.
Right. And you can have a great market out there, but if you're not getting to the people and they don't know about you, it doesn't matter.
That's true.
What's some of the best advice you've ever received?
Oh, sure. I'm thinking about my mentor, Maui. He was the one when I told about being a speaker. That was one of the first things he said. Is like, well, hey, get about a year's worth of savings. It takes a while to heat up. So do that. And then just sort of learn all you can from other great speakers. And he's been a great source of wisdom and mentorship and inspiration over the years. So that's been super helpful. Another thing he told me when I was kind of working through some feedback, and he said that, whenever you get feedback, even if it's presented unflatteringly, or you see that there are things that are factually incorrect about it, there's usually a gem or a kernel of goodness to be extracted. And so try to take your emotions out of it a little bit and get to that there. So yeah, he's been very helpful in learning and exploring the career side there.
Thank you so much for listening today. I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you found today's show valuable. If you would like to receive these shows automatically to your phone or to your computer, simply go to iTunes and subscribe. After listening to several of the shows, if you're so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating, as this helps us reach additional people and spread the message. If you're truly committed to taking your life to the next level and doing whatever it takes to become a peak performer, but something's holding you back, something is blocking your way, and you just can't seem to figure out what it is, send me an email to info@thorconklin.com, and I'd be more than happy to get on the phone with you. We'll schedule a 15-minute discovery call. No obligation, no cost. I absolutely love to hear from the listeners, and if there's something I can do to help, I'd be more than happy to do that. Also, if you found something of great interest in today's show and you want to share that with your friends and family, simply go to my Facebook page, Thor Conklin. Click on the episode, hit the share button, and share it on your page. You can follow me at Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. We're constantly adding new free resources, discussing additional tricks, tips, tools, and strategies on how to be a peak performer. Remember, I try to keep these episodes short so you can listen to them during dot time, doing other things, commuting, driving, walking, working out. Decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day.
That was AwesomeAtYourJob.com's Pete Mockaitis. Tune in next time for part 3 when we'll hear Pete's best advice for speaking in public. You won't want to miss that on the next Peak Performers podcast. We'll see you at the top.